Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, as we do every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm trying to see, is my microphone not working right or is it working right? That's a USB. Yeah, they got all these things. YouTube and a podcast. You'll hear the sound much better right now. But again, I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi. I take and handle cases for people trying to get U.S. immigration status, green card, citizenship, particularly for married couples and families, people with extraordinary ability and have talents and skills that's next level that could file for their own cases, as well as smaller investors, companies that are starting in the United States, have the E and the L visa. And we love doing that kind of stuff. And there's citizenship, movable conditions, re-entry permits, and the like. We come here once a week to take your questions and give general educational content, not intended as individual legal advice, because there's so much confusion going on in the immigration game. So I thought, hey, I'll come here and do that. We've been doing this for 5 years now, and God willing, we'll do another 5 at least. And it's a real pleasure to be here. So shoot out your questions, and we'll take it from there. If you're interested in a marriage green card case, download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. The website to download it for free is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. You go there and then you give your information and you get access to a PDF that really breaks down a lot of the process, give you a better understanding of what's going on before you even talk with an immigration attorney. That way you can ask really good questions, really pointed questions about the issues that potentially are troublesome, instead of just going and having a nominal, just general consultation where you don't get deep into stuff. You really push and prod the attorney, poke and prod and make sure they know what they're talking about. It helps you get there. So again, we take your questions live. Feel free to shoot them out. YouTube is the best place to do it. We see those the easiest. But if you're on TikTok and on Instagram, you can do that too. And on LinkedIn. YouTube is JQK Law Firm or U.S. Immigration Talk. That's where you could join, which I recommend doing because we've put a lot of content, detailed stuff. All the questions you'll have will be on YouTube already, so you can find it there. TTS, hi, I came to U.S. without a visa. My wife and son are green card are citizens. 220 paperwork enter U.S. Is it possible green card? 220 paper to enter the U.S. I got to see what's going on. Is it possible to get a green card? If you didn't enter lawfully, you need to have an exception to be able to do adjustment of status. If not, you got to get a waiver. And that's troublesome right now because it might pick you up while the case is pending. So TTT, you should definitely consult with an immigration attorney in private because we got to see if the waiver options are there and what risks there are, and what you can do. So it's number background information we need to know as well. Rahul on Instagram asks, entering on a B2 and changing it to F1 while staying inside the U.S., can I travel with my country and re-enter? No, and once you leave the U.S., you got to apply for a visa to get in. Even if you get the change of status approved, which is problematic, it might not get approved or might have issues with it. It's a complicated case. A B2 is a tourist visa, someone coming as a tourist visitor, and an F2 is a little different. F2 is a spouse, so someone's on a student visa, so it's not as complicated. But if you leave, you got to get a visa to come back in. And based on your name, potentially you might be on a travel ban. I'm not sure, but you know, it's better to just get the F2 visa and come in and have to worry about it. That's recommended generally, but I gotta see what's going on in your case. Or do change of status and no travel. I'm not allowed to recommend someone enter on a tourist visa with the intent to change status, though. So that's problematic. If you're already here and you're going to change your mind, then that's one thing. G Civity says, can I travel with advanced parole? Got the combo card. Technically, you can attempt to travel. Whether you could re-enter after traveling is up to the border officer. Typically, it's okay, but we don't, especially under the current administration, recommend people do international travel on advanced parole unless it's an emergency. And that's after we review your background to make sure your paperwork is correct, your immigration history is good, criminal history, and you're prepared. You're just prepared what country you're visiting, answers, all that kind of stuff. But generally, unless it's an emergency, I don't recommend traveling on advanced parole. Advanced parole is a special permission for travel that's given when you have a green card case pending. There's other advanced paroles that are given, but typically it's you have a green card case pending, and while it's pending, you're not allowed to leave the United States unless some exceptions exist, like you're an H-1B holder or something like that. But to be able to travel, you apply for this thing, Form I-131, advanced parole. And once it's approved, which sometimes takes 2 months, sometimes takes 8 months, technically you have the paperwork you need to travel, but it's not guaranteed you'll be able to re-enter, and that's where the risk lies. Historically, a lot of lawyers wouldn't apply for advanced parole for their clients because they're too afraid. I never had that issue, but with the wildness of this administration, I've even gone to that side of saying don't use advanced parole. Don't even apply for it, really, unless there's a real urgent need you have overseas. There's someone sick or dying kind of situation, or there's a court case or money situation that's really big. Unless it's really urgent like that, I don't recommend traveling at all when you have any type of visa case pending. There's a lot of calls we're getting right now with people who are green card holders and citizens even. And they're worried that if they travel, they can't come back in. Citizens typically shouldn't need to worry unless they were green card holders that became citizens and they had some past history that's problematic, which is very rare. Green card holders typically are not issue two. I've had a lot of people contact me to review them. And unless you have serious criminal history or there's a serious mess up somewhere, usually it's not a problem. But we can't guarantee it. But I'm not too worried about green card holders and citizens traveling. Yalda asks, I'm currently undergoing the background check process for my visa, but I am affected by the Trump travel ban. Is the clearance process still continuing? If I'm cleared, how will I be informed? I don't know if they're going to do it. Really, all these cases are stalled. If there is a clearance, you get contacted by the embassy and they say, "Hey, come and we did the clearance," but they're going to deny you anyway. So I don't have a good answer for you. This is all new territory. Kanyo says, "How long is the I-130 taking right now?" Thank you. There's different types of I-130s. They're depending on spousal relationship, parent-child relationship, brother and sister relationship, and within that, what country you're from. There's just a lot of different aspects. So the question is not detailed enough for us to answer that. And whatever answer I give is inevitably going to be wrong because the government is pretty random with this stuff. Isa J says, I-130 filed for wife in June 2024. I'm still waiting, haven't got a decision to hear from USCIS. No case processing time being shown online. Please help me understand what step. If you're a U.S. citizen and you apply for your wife, 12 to 14 months wait time is normal. She lives in Mexico. Are you a U.S. citizen? And if you're a green card holder, 1 to 3 years is an average time for that. So June 2024 is pushing it. I mean, it could go longer. I've had to go longer, but typically pretty soon you'll get a decision in most cases. Muhammad asks, hello, Mr. John. How soon can I apply after withdrawing my N400? Any time frame after? You could technically apply the next day. There's no length of time, but what is the reason you withdrew? What kind of case issues do you have? It's really based on you satisfying the criteria and the requirements. And that's when you should reply. So how soon, it doesn't matter, but we got to see why would you even withdraw in the first place, what error there was, and judge based on those kind of things. ICJ says U.S. citizen. Yeah, so you probably will get an approval notice very soon, but I just, it's government. It's unreliable. Augustine asks, can you clarify why naturalized citizens may be in trouble re-entering the States? It's rare, but you might have obtained your citizenship when you had problems and they didn't catch it. Some people have had criminal history beforehand that didn't tell at the citizenship stage. Some people's marriages may not have been bona fide, the paperwork wasn't clear, or they later on are found out to have criminal activity that they didn't admit to, and that could be a reason to denaturalize. So it's like these kind of stuff. Again, it's rare. Most people are not going to have these problems, but it's, there's millions of people that have naturalized. So when you have large numbers like that, statistically, there's going to be a subset that have these problems. Gurpreet asks, I'm an asylee green card holder. Can I apply for refugee travel document? Probably, yeah. Coney says spousal relationship. Are you a U.S. citizen or a green card holder? And secondly, what country is your spouse in? What country is the country of their birth? Rahul follows up. Continuation on my question. You said I need F2 visa. How can I get that, please? Elaborate a bit how long the process can be. You apply with the embassy, just like you apply for the B2, you apply for the F2. And how long does it take? It depends on how backed up the embassy is. How long did it take for your B2? It's a very, very similar type of process. ICJ says, can owing money to the IRS affect my process with the I-130? Historically, no, but nowadays anything's possible. They're getting really crazy about it. The IRS is connecting their computers with the immigration department. So historically, owing money to the IRS is a problem for getting citizenship. Maybe on the affidavit of support when your wife goes to the embassy, that could be a problem. But you never know with this administration. Things are changing pretty rapidly. SUSA says, I've transferred F2A from Afghanistan to Saudi, priority date May 2024. How long for the interview? Oh, wow. The F2A spouse of a green card holder case is like 2022 right now. So you're backed up for 2 years. It'll be a while. Pinky says, hi, H3 family visa interview. You got to ask a question, Pinky. Mahmoud follows up. I filed a little earlier than 3-year eligible time, so now I'm eligible to reapply. If you satisfy the rest of the requirements, the withdrawal doesn't make a difference. If that's a reason. MK2 says, if your case is dismissed without a conviction, would you be okay? Not necessarily if you made it, probably, but if you made admissions and stuff. And plus, the way the government is right now, like if you're in the United States, if you're arrested, potentially they may detain you and hold on to you indefinitely. So generally, it has been okay, but we got to see what the arrest was for, what was admitted in the arrest record, what was the court conviction. There has to be a full analysis of your paperwork has to happen. And there's always a wild card of this administration is how are they going to interpret things. I suggest, yes, the best. Thanks for your help. Blessing to you and your family. God bless you as well. I hope you meet your spouse in the U.S. as soon as possible, or to see each other as soon as possible. Masi says, my parents got their interview date in Islamabad. Congrats. Is there any recommendation you want me to remember? Get a police certificate for them. Be prepared for administrative processing delays. Make sure their marriage records are correct, their birth records are correct, FRC, all that kind of stuff. Nikah, marriage record. It just depends on the case then. We got to go into your details. Katie says, how long after the interview I-485 will it take to approve the I-130 approved next day? It's random. I can't say. It's sometimes same time, sometimes much later. It's pretty random. Maybe they might not approve it. It might be issues. We don't know. C user says, good afternoon, Attorney Kasravi. C user, good to see you again. Thanks for coming on the show as always. Pestilence says, per card expired 2 years ago, need to find new job. Can I still work? I don't know what the details of your case are. I can't advise on that. Zishan says, I'm a U.S. citizen, April 2025. Is there a way to expedite children I-130? Current expected approval in earlier mentioned. So, I mean, you could always contact the government and make requests to expedite because of separation for children, all this kind of stuff. Whether they'll actually do it or not, you got to fight it out, and hopefully they will. But they've gotten really strict on expediting or getting anything faster. You should notify them that you're a U.S. citizen. Well, okay, Zishan, I think we talked before, but if you were a green card holder and you did an F2A for your wife and your child as dependent was in there, once you became a U.S. citizen, your child dropped out. So your child, if this is the case, doesn't have a case right now. You'll need to file a separate I-130 with them, for them, and that could take, a long time. So hopefully that's not the case, because then there's a disaster. But I get called, I'm working on a couple cases right now where people just did that. They didn't consult with an attorney, became citizens, and the kid dropped out and they didn't realize that till afterwards. Now they have like a 4-year-old stuck outside. Schedule consultations is the thing to do. Okay, Lily asks, Mr. Kasravi, hope you're well. Thank you. Same to you. When you were abroad from 2019 to 2020, almost 1 year, but still under 1 year with a re-entry permit, would you have to go back 5 years from the last entry, or can you apply for citizenship and go back 5 years, August 2020? So if you re-enter the U.S. in 2020, I would wait 4.5 years. So essentially, you can do it right now anyways, so 2025. This is too specific a case example. I can't tell you, I can't give individual legal guidance, but typically I would wait 4 years and 6 months just to make it clean. 4 years, 6 months, 1 day, which, let's see, 4 years, 6 months, 20, maybe it'll be now, but schedule consultation, we go in detail, but I don't want to go that much detail because I'm not giving individual legal guidance. But most likely that's fine to file right now, but I wouldn't go a whole 5 years. Under this administration, things are a little tricky. We got to see why you're abroad that long, what was going on, what your attachment to the United States was, what your status was, and with regard to family, work. So there's other stuff we need to look at in case they want to hassle you. We have backup responses to show, hey, my family was here, I had a job, or someone got sick and it wasn't expected to be out that long. I had a return ticket, but it got canceled. It was August 2020, so it was like you left right before the pandemic, so you got stuck after that. What country was you? So it's like it's a bigger picture than just looking at the numbers to do a good job. And that's what our role is, to see the big picture, analyze and do it. So I really recommend scheduling a consultation about that, Lily. Roja says, I need proper consultation with you regarding F2. Sure, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in the box there, schedule a consultation. Fees do apply. We don't talk about fees here, but just do that website thing. We'll tell you how much the consultation costs, and we can break down the worries and or strategy and all that kind of stuff, Roja, and help you out. So jqqlaw.com/contact if anyone else like to have a consultation. Pinky asks, hi, F3 family interview birth certificate, only my dad name not written, mom name, so can you accept? Well, that's problematic. F3 family interview. So F3, I need more information, Pinky. Who is the petitioner? Why is dad not including your birth certificate? What is the relationship with your dad? Is there a marriage certificate with your parents? What are you trying to do? So there's a lot more information we need to review. It's too complicated in the 2 sentences that you gave me. I can't answer that with that little information. Sanford says, serious question. Do you think this administration is pushing out a lot of propaganda? Every administration is pushing out a lot of propaganda. That's standard operating procedure for any business. Everyone's pushing propaganda. Mink says, hey, what happened if I'm scheduling for master hearing, but I filed for I-485 processing? Unless USCIS has jurisdiction over a case, USCIS is going to case on hold. And you got to terminate the case or something like that, or adjust status in court. C user says, is the fall to joint option in the consular process for dependents of an employment-based case for primary applicants available for adjustment of status cases? Yeah, if they're in the United States and they don't file for adjustment of status, they do a later fall to join, technically applies there as well. I mean, it really makes more sense in the international context for consular processing, but the idea of a dependent following up and adjusting status later it applies for both types of processing. Nothing for us forever asks, hi, my husband my husband is Canadian citizen. How long would it take me to sponsor? I'm a U.S. citizen. Well, nothing is forever. This is a consultation I have every day almost. I had just one an hour ago. It'll probably take a year and a half average, maybe a year and 8 months. It was I was telling a gentleman. If you apply for a K3 visa, it may speed it up to half that time, but it only works 20% of the time. So it's a lot of different numbers. It's best to have a consultation. I have a detailed video on YouTube about Canadian immigration, marriage immigration, because we handle that kind of case a lot. I would just recommend looking at that. Or schedule a consultation, talk about more detail, jqqlaw.com/contact. Download our guide, though, our Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. It's at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That could help you out. Nothing is forever. But essentially, constant processing, probably a year and a half, if not a couple more months. Ahmad says, which state are you in? I'm in California. My senior associate is in Virginia, but our location doesn't matter for most cases. Everything is online. Know any clean lawyer jokes? I'm not a big joke teller like that. Natalia says, how do I prepare for my husband's green card interview? Is it adjustment of status or constant processing? What is your relationship history? Get into that, those details of how you met as much as possible. Have your application documents, birth certificates, marriage records, all that kind of stuff ready to go. That's generally it, but there's so much more information I need to be able to guide properly. You could have a practice session with us. We offer 30-minute, 1-hour practice sessions where you act like we're an officer and go through stuff. I'd recommend doing that and getting clear answers that's specific to your case. So you can review your stuff. C-User says, thank you. You're welcome, attorney. Thank you, C-User. Appreciate coming on the show again. We have a question about HR 875. Will it pass in the Senate? I'm not a politician, nor do I even care about politics. So I'm not the person to ask about that. I just talk about what the law actually is. Kenna says, is it possible to file for annulment after 6 years of marriage? That's family law, not immigration law. So I can't get into that. Angel says, y'all hiring, and you should tag an attorney in your state where you're getting divorced or separated, whatever it is. No, we're not hiring at this time. Nothing is forever. Ask a question where I answer your question. Rob says, what is the wait time for an employee-sponsored green card? There's 5 categories of employer-sponsored green card, and depending on what country you're from, those will be different too. Plus, the Department of Labor perm process is different. And so your question, it's too vague to be able to answer. It needs a lot more pieces of information. Mehan says, which form should we file for MVC, mom, how live outside USA? So if you're already at the National Visa Center stage, you get an email that has login information. The form is already there. Plus, you need to submit an affidavit of support. That's all in the website. But if you want to start, you got to start with the I-130. UWeb says, is overstayed marriage green card interview, they picked deported? I think you're saying if you overstay, can you get picked up at the green card interview? Unfortunately, you can. That has been happening to a couple of people. Roja follows up. One last question. Can I apply for F2 visa while I'm already here in the U.S. with F2 visa status? You can start the paperwork, file a DS-160, and wait for an interview and then leave. That's a possibility. So that's that. We got to get into more details, but that's not impossible if you're here already. KJ says, can I apply for citizenship with my daughter F2B application at NBC? Can I apply for citizenship while my daughter's F2 application at NBC? So you can. What's going to happen is technically your case will change to an F2A. Right now, your daughter is an adult unmarried child of a green card holder. It will change to adult unmarried child of a U.S. citizen. The problem with F1 category, adult unmarried child of a U.S. citizen, is like it's 6 to 1 year backed up. However, under the Child Status Protection Act, there's the ability for you to request that your case, even though you're a citizen, remain as an F2B case. You write them a letter and it says, hey, I wish to remain as an F2B even though I naturalized. And they'll still honor it where you could use the faster date for F2B as opposed to F1. Muhammad asks, after withdrawing, it says the case closed, so I'm reapplying for M400 right away. Does withdrawal affect the future application? If the reason for your withdrawal is just because it was bad time we filed, it shouldn't. But if that's just the reason. Mihan says, which form should we file? Answer your question, Mihan. And I'm going to have to take you off because you asked the same question. Khan says, please help me. My case is the NBC, but I don't have any update. I don't know. It's a schedule. How am I going to help you here? I'm like, buddy, you got to schedule a consultation and we'll take from there. Demi says, what is G56 official matter? G56, I don't really deal with that form at all. I'm going to Google call-in letter for ICE. So it's ICE-related stuff, Immigration Customs Enforcement. I don't handle ICE stuff, so I'm not an expert. I don't want to comment on stuff that I don't handle. I-730 Con says, okay, just it's backed up. I guess I don't know what to tell you. SUSA, what's the best way or tip in order to request expedite for F2A interview scheduling? I don't have any. Quattro says, just got the I-130 approved. How long does I-601 take? Years, potentially, and you might get picked up while it's pending. But you want I-601 or I-601A, Quattro? So we got to see which exact thing it is, which exact inadmissibility you have. Hyde says, and where you are in the U.S., outside the U.S. Hyde says, is case, because if you're outside the U.S., you have to do an interview, which should take a year. And then after the interview, you file the 601A waiver, which take multiple years. Then you have to schedule another interview, which take 6 months to a year. So it really depends. And once you start going 4 or 5 years in the future, anything I say about timelines just is like, who knows? I'm guessing, and it's not that valuable. Headbay says, is filing a case for a child under 21 smooth as U.S. parent? Not necessarily. We got to see what's going on, though. There's always problems in immigration cases. Every time, even myself, sometimes I think, oh, it's an easy case. As soon as I open it up, and I'm like, oh, there's problems here. So it's never an easy case in immigration because people's lives are so different, the paperwork's so different. You never know. Felix says, I filed late tax late in 2020. What that would be a denial for citizenship through permanent residency. If you filed late and the IRS, as long as you don't owe money, you don't have issues with the IRS, that's not that big deal. The COE says, please, attorney, how much costs a case transfer to state in another? I don't see why there would be a fee to transfer a case in another state. I don't know what kind of case you have. So schedule a private consultation to see what's going on. Because the way you're asking your question is there's got to be more to it than problems. Quattro says, is it true the I-131F is coming back? I-131F, I don't even know what that is. I-131F. Application parole in place for non-citizen U.S. citizens. Oh, that's the thing that the Biden did. Is it true that's coming back? I doubt it. I mean, Trump dropped that like a hot coal. So the I-131F, we maybe did a couple of those for people from Venezuela or something like that, and they didn't even get approved because the case took too long. But unlikely to come back. Unlikely Trump's going to bring that program back. Quattro says parole in place. We got to see what's going on. Hi says that our case processing is still fast from your relatives, relatively. Steve says, why are lawyers expensive? Because it's complicated work and there's high demand for it, and it's stressful. It's like I don't sleep at night sometimes. I'm worried about my clients, or I'm thinking about it, and one error could be really dramatic and traumatic for people. It's complicated. There's stuff that I have to read hours and hours to just not get paid for to understand it and to be ready for it, and so it gets expensive. And I go to ChatGPT and ask the questions, and ChatGPT is wrong all the time. So it's still not there yet where you get this info for them for free. Dexter says, hi, I just did my biometrics 15 days ago. How long would it take the interview? This is unrelated. Biometrics has nothing to do with getting your interview time. Okay. I-601 processing times, 6 months to 4 years. Lay says, how far back evidence should I provide if I just applied for I-751 last year? How far back? I mean, if you already filed for I-751, when you filed it, it should have been for the 2 years that you were together. I'm not sure if you filed it already. Why would you need to do that? Hi says, do you only have to do biometrics once? Yes, unless there's issues with your fingerprints. Sometimes we have parents or older people doing it. Their fingerprints are rubbed off. And so because of that, they have to go again and try to get it to see if it works. But typically, it's only once. How long will it take the application receipt? I mean, maybe if a couple years go by and you have another application case and ask for it again. Anubi says, how long will it take the application receipt notice from USCIS? Typically, it's a week or two, but there's cases like U visas and VAWAs that are taking 4 to 6 months, unfortunately. Thank you for joining. Lively discussion today. Very good questions. So I appreciate it. We got a lot of people on YouTube, on Instagram. So real cool. So feel free to shoot out your questions, anything. Les says, yes, remote conditions and now N400. So for the N400, you need 3 years. If you're going to do the marriage to U.S. citizen-based N400, which is faster, you need 3 years. So have lease agreements or evidence living together for 3 years up to filing. Anoop says, thank you. You're welcome. Join my fan club. I don't know what that means. Sent a gift. Thank you for sending the gift. Yates says, where's your office located? We're in Southern California in LA. But we don't ever see our clients in person unless we're going to interview. Almost everything we do is done by emailing, mail, and stuff like that, uploading documents to the government. So our location doesn't matter for the cases that we do. The CLE says, can someone get work authorization with biometrics? Get a work. Biometrics is something you have to do for them to do background check. It's not something that leads to work authorization itself. So it doesn't work the way you're listing it. Zizli said, I just filed I-135 mom and teen siblings. Mom approved, but not teens. How can I get the teens in? You can't. It's going to take 15 to 20 years to get the teens in. What'll happen is your mom gets a green card, turns around and files for your siblings. That's going to take another 5 years, unfortunately. Yara says, thank you. I appreciate it. How can I get in contact with you or your office? Go to our website, fill in our contact us page, jqqlaw.com/contact. That's jqqlaw.com/contact. And we'll take it from there. Lay says marriage-based case. That's that. Question on Instagram: why some I-485s and I-130s approved on the spot in California, while other states might take a couple days or weeks? I have California case that's put on the spot and a week. New Jersey takes a while. New Jersey cases that are taking 1 or 2 months is very annoying and stressful. But it just depends on the officer. Depends on what's going on. It's kind of all over the place. Sweet says, "What's the new with immigration-based cases? Do we do what this new with a marriage?" I'm not sure what your question is, but there's always new stuff. It really depends on what your particular scenario is. I don't want to go recite a whole book of stuff and see which one is new to you. I just really want more pointed questions to help people. All right, everybody, we only have a couple more minutes left in the show. Feel free to shoot at specific questions. I don't want to just take general stuff. So if there's something in particular that you're worried about, let me know. Hi says, do you handle complex cases, or is every attorney different? Just curious. It depends on what you mean by complex cases. So I'll handle cases for I-7 So someone gets married, gets a green card, the marriage falls apart, and we got to prove the marriage is real. That could get complicated. We do that. There's people who have children who get too old to be in their case, called the Child Status Protection Act. It's not too complicated, but a lot of lawyers have no idea, don't want to do it. We handle consular processing, embassy stuff, which is very time-consuming and somewhat complicated. You have to know how to deal with the embassies. I thought it's really easy. It's not complicated to me at all. But most immigration lawyers don't do consular processing, I've found. I thought everyone does it because when I started working in the field, I just always did embassy work. And then I realized only like a third of immigration lawyers handle immigration embassy work, consular processing. So to them, it's complex and they don't. So it depends on what you mean by complex. But I don't go to court. I don't sue the government and that kind of stuff. And I don't do asylum cases. So each thing could be complex in its own world. Immigration is so tricky that you really need to get really focused on one area. And once you're doing it for long enough, it doesn't seem complex to you. But once you start talking about other people, they're like, "Ooh, that's too complex for me." So L1s can be very complicated. EB1As can be complicated. But it's just that's to the layman, it's always going to be complicated. Lily says, "Thank you for your answer. I have dual citizenship, Germany and Iran. Do I need to show for naturalization interview both passports?" Yes. If you don't have your Iranian passport, say I don't have it, and birth certificate, it's not necessary per se, but it's better to have it. Take what you have. If you don't have them, tell them you don't have them. Okay. Hi says, you answer that question. Rod says, I really need help regarding my F2. I filed the box. Please tell your team to contact me soon. So later tonight, I got a couple of shows I got to do right here, and then another show after this. And when I go emails, we'll schedule. There's fees involved, so if you're down to pay the fee, then we can have a meeting on it on Thursday or Monday or something like that. Okay, let's see. Hi, two more questions. Jude says, when you enter to your USCIS account and the estimated date is 1 week, the estimated dates on USCIS website are completely unreliable, so don't even bother looking at those. Those are like nonsense. How long does N400 take? 2 months to 2 years. Giga says, hi, how long does it take when a green card holder files immigration petition for wife? 3 to 5 years. Happy Singh says, my visa is I-130. I-130 is not a visa, and I applied for a visitor visa. I got any chance to convert to green card holder? You're not allowed to enter the U.S. with a tourist visa intending to file for a green card in the United States. So that's not permitted. It's immigrant intent. So I can't recommend you do that or really get into it. Felix says, thank you so much for your time and patience. Helps community a lot. God bless you, Felix. Thank you so much for the kind words. Salam says, how long does it take for work authorization in Portland? Work authorization doesn't depend on where you're located. It depends on what kind of case it is and how back to the government is. So that it doesn't matter if you're in Portland or wherever you are. How long is the I-130 to approve? My wife's in Pakistan. I'm a U.S. citizen. I-130 itself, 12 to 14 months. Getting an interview in Pakistan, 6 months to 2 years. And then administrative processing, more delays. It's going to be a mess. AK says, can you travel if you overstayed your visa? There's risk that you could get detained. Anoop says, just processed my application USCIS EB1A last 2 weeks, but I didn't get any response still. Sometimes they lag. If the money went through, at least you know you got it. Domestically, I wouldn't recommend any travel if you don't have status. Jude says, when you enter your, okay, answer your question. Gilga says, how long does it take? Okay, answer your question. Okay, so it's a work authorization family-based, 2 months to 9 months average. Singh says, I have a solid green card. Can I apply for refugee travel? We already answered your question at the beginning of the show, I think, but you can, yeah. All right, and then Singh says, my parents applied I-130 visa in 2022 and still no response. How long do I have to wait? Go check out the visa bulletin for your category. Your parents are probably, so we don't know, are your parents green card holders or citizens? Are you married or unmarried? So you got to, and what country are you from? You got to look at all this stuff on the visa bulletin and see what's going on. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi. The best thing to do is have a private video consultation where we can talk about your case. That we can really go into the details of it. Go to our website, jqqlaw.com. jqklaw.com/contact. That's jqklaw.com/contact. Fill in the boxes there and schedule a formal consultation. Fees do apply. We'll let you know after we fill the box how much the fee is for your particular kind of consultation, and we can take it from there. As always, we only do video consultations. One is so you have to do on video, going to see you. But there's people who have fake accounts that look like ours, and they have like WhatsApp phone conversation with you, steal your money. That's not us. So God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific for our regular weekly chat. Bye-bye.